Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review, number 141. And I am the moderator, Virtue, being joined by this week's panel, consisting of Aaron Rift, as always. Jeff Meacham is back here, and so is Noah Foster. What's up, everyone? It's Thursday night, prime time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Noah, I'm going to come over to you. What's going on, man? Mr. Wrestling, the man who wants more wrestling content and television shows. What's up?
Well, wrestling, obviously, but life is good and simple. Just got done with this week's dose of work, so I have a 4-day weekend, and I'm definitely looking forward to watching Double or Nothing, NJPW Strong, Friday Night Dynamite, SmackDown, all the greats, including Impact Wrestling. But it's great to be here tonight to talk wrestling with you, fine gentlemen. All
right, well, it's good to have you here. We got some topics to cover, as always, and Jeff's on. So, Jeff, what was that show last week? Was it 2 hours?
It felt like more, but I think I should got it under 2. I think
we're not doing that tonight, NoDQ Galaxy. No way. Jeff, how's it going?
Going well, my friend. Just half the world's finishing the Friends reunion and drying their eyes to watch us now, and the other half's going, who cares? It's just another TV show that was done 20 years ago. So either way, it's all good. As Noah said, here to talk wrestling, prime time, as you said. It's always good to talk about wrestling at a prime time slot. I love it the most.
All right.
Or as these guys say, I dig it the most.
Thanks for being here, Jeff.
I'm always happy to be here.
We got some topics you'll definitely be interested in covering today. All right, Aaron, what's up, man?
Doing pretty good. Was never a fan of Friends, but I'll tell you what, the 90s had some memorable events, and one of those events happened to be 25 years ago today. We had Scott Hall show up on Monday Nitro, and Noah wants to talk about AEW, so I guess I'll just stop talking about WCW. He wants strictly AEW, and
right.
Yeah, that's not true. I had to check something.
Sure. All right, Virtue. Let's go ahead and get this show rolling.
Well, don't you have some super chats, or do you want to wait?
We do have some super chats already. People are.
Remember, I have to do my job and make sure you stay up with them so they don't get buried.
Yeah, with how fast the chat could go. Hello, NoDQ Galaxy.
Up now, so it's all good.
There you go.
Okay, so first of all, Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. Thank you for that. Says, will you talk about Tom Phillips leaving WWE? That was not originally on our lineup, but that was some late news. Virtue, it seems like we're getting a lot of news on Thursdays lately.
Yeah, and well, one of our topics was talking about announcers, so we can easily squeeze Tom Phillips into that discussion.
Absolutely. And we do have another $5 super chat from the man, Big Baller G, who's currently taking a break from wrestling right now, but he's here.
But not TikTok. I see him TikToking.
Busted.
Well, TikTok is the hottest app in the world right now, and I might even join TikTok if we have a certain Bryan Danielson show up at the AEW pay-per-view.
Cindy, you're losing. I am not going on TikTok with you.
Well, we'll see about that. Big G says, could there be any more wrestling, Jeff Meacham?
Well, there could be. It's just, I think the wrestling world realizes that we're all stretched out as it is. If we do have to cover more wrestling, we're going to have our heads are going to explode. So hopefully it'll subside.
Right. And we do have a super chat from Mr. Tito, one of the most controversial columnists in NoDQ history, says, what's behind the two doors Virtue?
This has been asked to me before on a super chat, so this is fascinating. I'm sure Tito wasn't there for that episode. So this door right here is my closet, and there's no skeletons in it, and it contains a lot of shirts, sports jerseys, wrestling shirts, all kinds of stuff. This is my master bathroom. Unlike TJS, I'm not going to do a show in my bathroom or have the door open. So that I'm sitting in my bedroom tonight. So there you go.
All right. And we do have one more $5 super chat from James, and this is for Jeff. He says, I'm not biased with Cindy, though she is cuter than you. Sorry.
Well, I appreciate the follow-up from yesterday. If you watched it yesterday, you know what he's talking about. But Yeah, she is cute to me, so it's okay. I accept that, and we can move on from there. I
All right,
understand.
and if you guys haven't seen it yet, make sure you check out the AEW predictions video. That was a lot of fun. I know that's not Virtue's cup of tea talking about AEW, but hey, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and talk about some other topics in the world of wrestling. Virtue, let's get it started.
All right. So, will WWE ever settle on announcers? I mean, with their multiple shows, it just never happens. Everybody loves Mauro Ranallo for whatever reason. It didn't work out with him in WWE for long term. But let's see, Adnan Virk or whatever, I don't know his name, but like he was bad and he's already out of there. And some UFC or somebody, Jimmy Smith, is coming in. Like, who are these people? And then the news broke today, Aaron, that Tom Phillips, who everybody kind of called a Michael Cole clone, is now released from the company. And it's weird because if they want everybody to be like Michael Cole, why in the hell did they release Tom Phillips? They should have just brought him back instead of this Jimmy Smith guy. So I don't know what they are looking for. Jeff, I'm going to start with you on this one. We've had some great announced team, commentators in the past. We'll go back to Gorilla and Jesse the Body Ventura. Then Bobby the Brain came in. We had that great team of Jerry Lawler and Vince McMahon. Then JR came in. And maybe the shoes of the announced teams in the history of WWE are just so big to fill, we just can't get good announcers. Like Mike Adamle was an announcer once for Raw. So what's your take on all of this news, Jeff Meacham?
Yeah, I remember watching Adamle on American Gladiators and being okay with him and Zonka being a decent team, but he did not translate to WWE well at all. And the fact that they elevated him in position to general manager was just like, what? You mentioned having big shoes to fill. Yeah, I mean the thing, to quote my oft-used shirt, here's the thing. The announcers of the past, starting after Vince kind of started having other people come in doing play-by-play, they either were wrestlers or they had experience long-term in the business. You figure, Gorilla was a wrestler. He wrestled for many, many years, as did Jesse. Bobby was involved forever. JR, came up in the business under Bill Watts, which, either that's the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever to happen to him, depending on who you ask. But once you got past that era, it's like Vince seemed to go more toward this guy's got journalistic cred more than he's got wrestling cred. And that seems to me to have hurt the play-by-play position from my perspective. And again, maybe that's just the way I see it. But I think that if you have experience in the business, going back either as a long-term fan that you've watched so long, what you're talking about, or you've been involved in this some way or another, you tend to have a better feel for it than these journalist guys. The rare exception, I can't believe I'm saying this, has been Michael Cole. Michael Cole's been there over 20 years. He's definitely earned his stripes, if you will. He's a decent, play-by-play guy in wrestling.
Jeff, did he start as a backstage announcer?
Yeah, he actually came in as a previous journalist for CBS. He was like a war correspondent guy or whatever. When he came in, he was doing primarily backstage interviewing, but he was also on the part of that three-man team they had on Raw briefly. It was JR, Kevin Kelly, who was going on to be a decent, play-by-play man himself, and Cole. And for a long time, they called Cole Pettengill Jr. because he kind of like came in as Pettengill was being phased out. And I went along with that. And I look back now, I go, man, no, Michael Cole is actually trying to be a pretty decent commentator. But yeah, these guys they brought in the last, I'd say 10 years, it's like, I didn't get their passion, with the exception of Mauro Ranallo, because he's a sports announcer and he knows how to adjust cadence for any type of situation, which is so key in especially wrestling. So
now, Jeff, you got to remember Vince McMahon. He wants the people that'll listen to the ear and say what he's telling them to say.
Right.
And
if you talk to people like Mick Foley, Mick Foley was in the business his whole life practically. He hated being produced by Vince. Having that evil, potty mouth in your ear is never a good thing if you're a guy like Mick Foley who is so easygoing and doesn't want to deal with that. But, that's how Vince produces, from what we've been told. So
yeah, I always like Taz too. When he went to TNA and did it there too.
Taz surprised me. I'm not going to lie. I know people know I'm not really fond of Taz on Twitter anyway. But
really?
he and Cole were probably the best SmackDown team until JBL decided to put on the commentator's headset, because I actually really enjoyed JBL and Michael Cole as a team.
Now hold on, Jeff. What's the deal with Taz? Like, first you have an issue with Eddie Kingston, and now you have an issue with Taz. What's the deal?
Taz and I got into it over me defending a wrestler who should not be defended in any circles now in this day and age. He was part of the under the bus movement last year, and Taz didn't like my verbiage toward him, so he blocked me on Twitter. That's as simple as that.
Well,
Mauro Ranallo blocked me, and I never tweeted him, so that was very interesting.
Yeah. It's so funny that some people just earn the random block. I said, though, yep, I'm proud I got blocked by Taz because he earned my obnoxiousness toward him. So if he blocks me, whatever. Like I said, I always enjoyed Taz's work as a wrestler in ECW and as a commentator across the different universes of wrestling. But like I said, it seems to me that the people that have been in the business for a long time tend to have a better perspective and definitely do the commentary style a better solid than these journalist guys.
Yep. Now, thanks, Jeff. Stand by. No, I'm going over to Aaron because, he's got super chats he's got to read, and I don't want him to get too far behind.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, I will never forget Michael Cole's frosted tips. Yeah, and, he had the nice tight jeans, pretty boy jeans, whatnot. Well, that's what JR said in that one promo when he came back after having Bell's palsy. I think that's what Psycho Jet Black is referencing there. I could be wrong, though. And Johnny Boy sent in a $5 super chat, says, one of my favorite matches is Mick Foley versus Undertaker Hell in a Cell. I wasn't able to watch it live at the time. What was it like watching live, and what were your reactions? Well, that's going off topic here. It was crazy. I mean, to sum it up, it was just one of the most shocking moments of all time. But anyways, regarding the announcers, Tom Phillips surprised me a little bit in the fact that he was let go, because he seemed to fit the bill of what Vince wanted. He sounded like Michael Cole. He could go out there and say whatever Vince wanted, whatever Vince fed him, he could do, and he did a good job of it. Do I think he was top tier quality? No. I don't think he was at Mauro Ranallo or JR's level, but I thought he was decent. And I'm not really sure why they got rid of him and replaced him with this new guy. I really know nothing about the new guy, but apparently he worked in UFC and Bellator. He has the MMA background. We'll see if it translates to wrestling or if it's just going to be a revolving door now of commentators on Monday Night Raw. I wish Mauro Ranallo would come back. I don't know if it's just he doesn't want to work in that environment with Vince in his ear. Who knows what the deal is, but in a perfect world, we'd have Mauro Ranallo back when the fans return. That would be a nice step in the right direction, but doesn't look like it's going to happen. So, yeah, not really shocked. And Adnan, I mean, I figured he was going to be gone after, maybe 6 months, but I didn't think he would be cut this long. Mike Adamle lasted longer than Adnan. That's saying something. The guy just wasn't really a good fit for wrestling. It just did not work out. My only thought was that it would have lasted at least a bit longer. But when Sheamus came out there and made fun of him, that was a line that was scripted for Sheamus to say. They intentionally buried him on live television. And to me, that was when they were mentally done with him and they were going to get rid of him at some point. So, yeah, it sucks, but it happens.
Tito mentioned he does like the combo of Cole and McAfee. That's interesting. So we'll see if McAfee gets more traction and fans like him. I mean, he's got his own radio or podcast. He's very outspoken, and those are usually good color commentators. So we'll see. All right, Noah, I know you've been patiently waiting. Patience is a virtue. You're up, man.
I think when it comes down to wrestling commentary, you want the fans to be engaged in what's going on in the ring, but you also want it to be through a personality that the fans can relate with or understand. It really makes me surprised they don't go with like somebody within the actual business itself, like a wrestler. That's why I felt like Samoa Joe, for example, added so much more to Monday Night Raw because, of course, he knew the business, he knew the town inside out. There's a reason why Corey Graves' longevity has constantly worked for him, no matter what brand he's worked under. As far as these other guys go, it does seem like it's more of a focus on journalistic integrity versus wrestling itself. But I'll give Jimmy Smith credit. He seems like he's a fan. He was part of the NXT TakeOver kickoff. He did Bellator for about 9 years. He did M1 for about 3 years. I was looking at a couple of interviews regarding how he was released. It was on mutual terms, but basically it was the same thing. The UFC wanted to focus more on UFC fighters being more so the play-by-play and the commentary because fans can relate to that and they could probably better tell you the story and the actual in-ring action. As far as commentary, there's two sections here, play-by-play and color. Play-by-play being the toughest job because to be that, I feel like you need to know and love what you're actually calling, whether it's wrestling, basketball, MMA, you name it. And I only watch wrestling. I don't care for any other sport. Go ahead at me. With that being said, they also got to call exactly what is happening, while the color commentators more so interpret what is happening, whether they're supporting the hero, supporting the face. Corey Graves, I feel like it's been overworked. He basically talks about both sides. This contrast of the openly energetic and I feel unscripted Pat McAfee with the 100% robotic, pure WWE person, Michael Cole, has me intrigued and so far has been rather entertaining, especially with how Pat McAfee had to do books. And as far as Michael Cole goes, he's actually been training this Jimmy Smith guy. So I feel like, honestly, Vince wants to try and find that next Michael Cole. He just doesn't know how to, and he's putting Michael Cole all the pressure to find that person. And I feel like until that happens, they're never going to let Michael Cole retire because I feel Michael Cole wants to go away from the commentary table. He said it before. He wants to go backstage. He kind of, like you said, he's been at it for 20 years. But as far as, journalistic integrity and wrestling commentary, the lines seem to be blurred anymore, especially across WWE. And I feel that's kind of where the connection with the fans and the presentation falls short. There's a reason why NXT has gone down in viewership because they don't have that same personality and energy driven by Maranello. Fans could relate to that. Not only did he literally call the action, he literally engaged you, and it's to the point you were thinking that maybe you were talking directly with the guy. I felt like I was literally listening to an answering machine with this Advent character on Monday Night Raw, and yeah, it shocks me that Mike Adamle lasted longer than him, but you just can't find, I feel like, what you had in the past to invent today with WWE, especially when you had the likes of good old JR, my favorite commentator of all time, and Jerry the King Lawler and Taz and Michael Cole and JBL. You just can't duplicate that. So how do you reinvent that? I feel WWE's still trying to figure it out.
I have a perfect announced team. WWE needs to hire Noah Foster right there as a play-by-play guy. And you know who would be your color commentator? If I was in charge, Jim Cornette. Noah Foster and Jim Cornette, because I want somebody controversial. I want somebody that knows the moves. There's your combo.
All right.
Jeff, what do you got?
Well, I actually have a super chat over on my channel because we're simulcasting this right now. It comes from Dwayne Atkinson. I'll go ahead and read it off. And then once I actually catch up here on my side, I'll throw it up there on the screen itself. He says, why not bring in Mike Tenay? Is he still there? It's not a bad question. I know that Mike, after he left TNA, he went back to just doing sports journalism in general. He was actually, and still is, a big NHL fan. Now that the NHL has a team in Vegas, he figures, well, I'll just go ahead and cover the NHL up there because he lives in Vegas. He always has. So Mike Tenay would be a decent addition to the fold. It's just he doesn't want to be in wrestling anymore. He really didn't enjoy it once he got phased out of the main TNA role. So I'm not surprised that he is not being considered to come back because I don't think he wants to come back. And then somebody else asked me, wasn't Graves a face when he retired? I think when he gave his little retirement speech on the NXT show he did that on, he was babyface-ish because he was humble and he had to leave and it sucked. So he was being, grateful and showing the gratitude of having been in the business. But Corey Graves always made a much better heel than he did a babyface in wrestling and now as a commentator. So I don't think he was an actual complete babyface when he stepped aside. So
we were spoiled, Jeff, with all the different announced teams. And I knew Vince threw a lot together, but even what we had in WCW, I mean, we just had some great announced teams over the years. So, of course, the old school fans like us, it's going to be hard to please.
definitely.
We do have a few more super chats here. Let me get to those.
Okay.
DJW sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, is it Michael Cole responsible for bringing in Adnan Virk in the first place? Actually, it was Nick Khan who brought in Adnan to the fold. So just didn't work out. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I'm just glad Peter Rosenberg is not a commentator. Well, not yet.
To say.
He's still part of the freaking pre-shows, folks.
And back to Nick Khan, like he probably shouldn't mess with people on TV. He's better with people in the office in Stamford. That's where he needs to do his thing. So I'm going to give him some slack with that Adnan Virk not working out. But that's just my take there.
Right.
It's a fair take.
Any more super chats, Aaron?
We're ready to move on.
All right, Finn Balor. No, I'm going to come right back to you on this one. Start. So you're going to stay in NXT or back to the main roster? I know we've talked about this before, and it's been such a long time. I know people like his work as Finn Balor and what he does in the ring, right? But the biggest thing he's ever done in WWE is when we get to occasionally see the demon gimmick. And I think it's time. I know he probably enjoys working down there in NXT, but I think it's time for him to come back. What was the last match on the main roster? And is that when The Fiend beat him at SummerSlam, I believe?
I'm pretty sure it was that, and we saw it
so
live.
It's been a while. So I think he needs to come back. They need main eventers. And to me, Finn Balor isn't necessarily a main eventer unless you know you could see a demon gimmick when he needs it. And WWE really, really needs that, whether he wants to do it or not. They need to talk him into that. We need to see the demon a couple times a year. Noah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been even said with Ryan Stan out of character that Finn Balor says he would like to go back to Raw or SmackDown. And it's also been said in interviews, Finn Balor would like to bring the demon back against the Fiend. I feel like you need to set up a super long-term storyline where right now we look at Bray Wyatt, we look at the Fiend. He's more so in this vulnerable state where now you feel kind of like he's the face. And Finn Balor could bring back this dark, demonic character, take on Bray Wyatt, build a great story, and you build that hype to make the demon feel like that big of a deal like it once was. Finn Balor has done everything since this reinvention of his character through, like you said, Virtue, when you go for the Fiend, you change, but he's now fallen short again to Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship. I feel like he's done everything now he needs to do in NXT, and Raw especially needs more star power, needs that big drive, that big pop, and great challengers for its champion. So I would like to see the Fiend versus the Demon, but in general, I just like to see the Demon set up for something big for Finn Balor to bring it back. But I feel Finn Balor for Raw and SmackDown should not be ruled out.
All right. Yeah, I think just, again, it's something. It's that special moment. It's that good entrance. And, you know, we saw what they did with the Fiend. And so at this point, bring the Demon back so you have something that, you know, not supernatural zombies and stuff, but the alter ego where he just gets that next level and the adrenaline is better and he just performs better than he does when he doesn't have the gimmick on. Jeff, what is your take here on Balor?
I've enjoyed his work since he returned to NXT. I mean, he you know, we've talked for the better part of a year on this channel, at least, that, you know, Drew McIntyre's been the definitive champion, but Randy Orton's been the MVP of the brand. I dare say Finn Balor and Karrion Kross are in a similar situation. You know, Karrion Kross has been the definitive champion the last little while here, but Finn Balor's been the MVP by and large of this brand, along with the former Undisputed Era guys. So, you know, Finn definitely seems to thrive more in NXT. And we talked either yesterday or last week about NXT's developmental. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. It just depends who you ask. I think Finn being allowed to develop and hone exactly who Finn Balor is in the WWE bubble is good for Finn. It's good for the fans. Now, we've all talked, the four of us and everybody else on this channel has talked about, once the fans come back, who's going to come out there in front of the crowd? I think Finn Balor having an entrance with the crowd where he gets up on the ropes, does the big and the big spotlight goes up. I think that's key for him. I think him being in the Thunderdome wouldn't have worked long term because of that. And the fact that NXT has definitely needed his presence as champion and perennial contender has helped that brand. Once we get crowds going again in July, we'll see how things play out. For me, I say he's fine where he is. I don't necessarily need him on the main roster because I enjoy him in the NXT bubble there.
Aaron, thank you, Jeff. And Jeff, you can answer on this one too. Finn comes back to the main roster. Crowds are back. Why not have the Demon? Well, I don't know if it'd be the Demon right away, but versus Roman Reigns.
Yes.
Yeah,
Aaron Rev. I mean, I'm just trying to think of possibilities that's different.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
I think the Demon not being used is leaving money on the table.
It's not like they got to overuse him. Just when they need it.
Like Roman Reigns versus the Demon, that's a huge match. And hell, the Demon versus Bobby Lashley or the Demon versus Drew McIntyre. There's a lot of big time matches you can do. And I think Balor can be fresh on Raw and SmackDown. He's been gone for a while. NXT, he's done a lot there, but I think your best value with Balor is getting him back on the main roster in front of the crowds. And hopefully we get to see him have somewhat of a push. I know people are worried he'll come back and he'll just be a random guy, but I think that they'll find something good for him to do. And he could definitely mix it up with some of those guys and create some memorable moments. And like I said on the other stream, trade him out. Bring somebody like Kevin Owens to NXT to take Balor's spot.
Yes.
And that way you have a whole new batch of matches, whether it's Owens versus Ciampa or Owens versus Gargano or Owens versus Karrion Kross. A lot of new matchups you can do if you just swap Balor with one of the main roster guys, and Balor could just take that guy's spot so you're not overcrowding the roster. I think it's an easy move to make, and it creates some fresh matchups.
Yeah, like back in the territory days when guys would bounce around territories. Jeff knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
WWE has their own territory with NXT, if you want to look at it that way. And what Aaron just suggested, they could easily do that and refresh things and not give us this convoluted shake-up and draft or whatever they do every year. They could just be subtle moves. Balor shows up on SmackDown. Next thing you know, Owens is on NXT. Everything's fresh again, at least for a while. Simple, easy peasy.
Exactly.
As far as using the Demon, I still say the Demon is a great character, but you need a reason for Balor to have to dive into his dark side. Like, you just have him show up and go, okay, I'm the Demon today, just because I feel like
Roman Reigns at a table. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you have the family, putting, through the paces, and Roman Balor's like, wait a minute, screw this, I'm the Demon. I'm gonna step it up here and show you guys what's really up. So
write Balor off, and then literally have him do like some dark promos to the point that he literally feels like he needs to go to an even darker place than he already has. Boom.
Yep.
Balor versus Aleister Black.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go.
Like Aaron said, money's on the table, just sitting there, just doing not a damn thing. So.
Okay, we're doing well on time here, so we're going to move to the next topic. And this one, I got to put my hand on my head. Who really is the best wrestler in the world? Okay?
Oh, Lord. Oh, boy.
Aaron, I'm going to start with you on this one. So here's where information I've gathered. We know PWI does their silly thing every year, and they really pick based on kayfabe, based on the way the wrestlers are booked.
Yeah.
So usually it's pretty close. You can get the top 5 based on who's had the best runs in their particular companies. Jim Ross recently went on record, and he chose Randy Orton. I think this was at least of 2021.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly enough, I said Orton was the best wrestler during the height of the pandemic. Now, that was about last year or so.
Yep.
But I can't really argue with JR here. But then Jericho comes out, Mr. Company, AEW company man here, and he's a babyface now, saying it's Kenny Omega, which is weird because Kenny Omega is a heel. Roman Reigns is the best wrestler. I mean, him and Orton to me are 1A and 1B. I don't even know where you'd put Kenny Omega. Aaron, who's the best wrestler in the world, and how would you determine it based on what you do for No DQ?
Good question. And at least for me, there's different criteria. It just depends on what you're looking for. For me personally, I like a little bit of everything. I like somebody who can go in the ring, obviously. I like somebody who can cut a really good promo. I like somebody who has charisma and presence and carries themselves like a main event star. All those things you add together to make the top star. I don't blame Jericho for saying Omega. It's the thing to do. Put over your champion. JR, he does what he wants to do. He's JR. He just says what's on his mind. I would go with Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns is the best character in wrestling. I think his matches have been excellent. And I think his character has been very compelling. To me, he's been one of the few reasons to watch the Thunderdome shows. If it wasn't for Roman Reigns coming back and doing this head of the table character, even SmackDown would be a hard show to watch, at least for me personally. It's easy because it's 2 hours, but also you got Roman Reigns there carrying the company basically on his back with this character. It's, to me, like in a whole other level above everything else. And I'm so happy that they finally turned him, and I hope that they don't go back to once the fans return. I think you got to let this character play out for at least another year. Get a match in there with Cena, get a match in there with The Rock, and have every possible match you can do with this Roman Reigns character before you even consider changing him and doing something different with the character. But yeah, right now, my pick is Roman Reigns. Randy Orton is great, though. He has done really well during the pandemic. He's got to be up there as well. And I'll give Omega some credit. He's been doing good stuff. But to me, nobody is at Roman Reigns' level, and Randy Orton is definitely up there as well.
All right. Now, Jeff, do you know Tito's saying, did we hear or read Omega's tweet responding to Jim Ross's pick of Orton? Probably, which one is he referring to? Does anybody know?
Yeah, because JR picked Orton, right? And then Omega was like, I don't listen to somebody who refers to me as the WWE champion, which is what JR said on Dynamite a few months ago by accident. He called Omega the WWE champion.
Botch.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, I mean, you're the only reason why anybody considers you the best wrestler in the world is because Dave Meltzer rates your star matches with Okada. Noah, and say, and you're not going to make me go rage. Who would you put in this block? And I know you watch all the shows, New Japan. Say what's on your mind here.
Good Lord Almighty. You talking about a subjective, objective topic. Where do you even begin? If you just look at this very moment right now, I'm going to go straight, simple, to the point with the biggest player in the business, WWE, and say Roman Reigns. His adaptability in this newfound character and the way he carries his matches and storytelling and action, slowing the pace down and actually giving you a chance to believe the opponent has a chance to beat him. And he's been mixing it up where each match now has a little bit of a different result, whether it's on his own or with help, blah, 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 blah. I have to give it to Roman Reigns right now being the overall best male wrestler in WWE. And honestly, Peacock kind of shares the same thing. They recently updated their interface to now you got to pick like a little profile thing. There are 2 profile bubbles for WWE. One is Roman Reigns. The other one, the best female wrestler, in my opinion, in WWE, Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks has shown tremendous adaptability, mainstream capability. She could sell herself. She loves this business, and you got to respect somebody who believes in Eddie Guerrero. But as far as me, I don't put those buzzwords behind companies, people. I don't believe in the hype of this journalistic starring system. I look at what I enjoy and what compels me. So whether it's Kenny Omega, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Thunder Rosa, Chris Jericho, who has adapted himself all over the business, or going back to old school historians like Ric Flair, like Harley Race, you name it. I mean, to ask me who I believe truly is the best, I'm never going to give you a straight up answer because I can't claim one wrestler is the best above all. There are best among everywhere. and best yet to be found. But to keep it simple, I just watch all things wrestling, but as far as WWE, it's Roman Reigns and Sasha Banks.
All right. Well said. So it's like you have a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F, all the way to Z, right?
Participation
pretty much.
awards.
Yeah, I like that. All right, Jeff. Here we go. This is going to take a few minutes.
Go for it, Jeff. Outbeat me.
I'm going to go off on this. It's very simple. It's like you said, Virtue. And Aaron backed up what I was going to say anyway. Roman Reigns has been the person that has kept WWE's presentation above water. When you think about how much of a grind Raw is to get through, when you think about NXT is still not considered, unfortunately, at the level of Raw and SmackDown for whatever reason. Roman Reigns, since he returned to SummerSlam and became champion the next pay-per-view, he has carried the brand SmackDown for sure. I dare say the company on his back. So he's definitely the best for me. And, best wrestler in the world, like Noah said, very subjective term. Is it the best technical wrestler? Is it the guy that draws the house? Is it the guy that draws the merch? Is it the guy that draws the money, period? There was a great quote in Ric Flair's book back in 2003, his first book, where him and Hogan had a conversation that, Hogan said to Flair, the best worker is the one that draws the most money. It's like, those don't go together, but they both chuckled about it because they both understood what each other meant by that. So for me right now, Roman's the best in the business right now. Pure wrestler. I mean, how do you argue against Randy Orton? He has been the MVP of that Raw brand, and he's a very, very technically sound wrestler. Even a year ago, I would say AJ Styles still, because AJ Styles will always be one of the best pure wrestlers on the planet. Yep. But AJ's been marred in this goofy character he's developed in WWE the last 5 years, and it's hard to take that facet of him seriously these days. So I say I totally co-sign with both of you, all of you, that Roman's the guy right now for sure.
And it could be a completely different conversation if we said best in-ring worker, like we went to that'd be the AJ Styles of the world and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'd be literally stacking a sandwich. Every layer, every ingredient, every condiment is something different. I mean, I could say Walter is one of the best wrestlers going today. One of the best technical wrestlers. Yeah, one of the best technical wrestlers of the world today. Daniel Bryan, Pete Dunne, Zack Sabre Jr. I could talk about wrestlers in all different forms all day and night.
I was going to say, as much as I follow the indies and everybody, it's like, how do you not have a 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D?
Josh Alexander put up a class against ELP. There you go.
Exactly. There you go.
All right, so we're going to move on. This is our main event per se. We all know every week the main event ends up turning into dragging the show out, and maybe it won't happen tonight with Super Chats, but this is going to be the controversial one here because, Jeff, I'm coming over to you first.
Yes.
We're going to kind of lump all three of these together, so say your piece on any of them. You can omit. We have some controversy in wrestling recently regarding comments made by John Cena calling Taiwan a country, which, if you look it up on the internet, it is, but China doesn't want to recognize it, and everybody knows that there's a lot of, China has a lot of business deals with, movie entertainment company and this and that. So John Cena felt the need to apologize because he's a big attraction over there, or can be. Right. Road Dogg said something. I didn't really even get to that, what the detail was on that. Controversial on Facebook. And then Buff Bagwell recently, unfortunately, got arrested.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, those are some controversial topics. Cena being the headline, but speak on all of them, any of them as you see fit.
It for me, it really comes down to a simple thing, Virtue. Marcus said it in the statement. I think it was today or yesterday. Two people know what happened there in that arrest, and that's God and Mark Bagwell, and he's going to say his piece when he says it. So I'm not going to say too much about that. If you followed Mark's path, his troubles with being behind the wheel have been documented over the years by every outlet, including NoDQ. But, as was pointed out in the NoDQ group, Mark's a friend of the site and a friend of the channel. So I wasn't there. I spoke to him via text. He says he's fine. I tend to just let that, be enough for me. Road Dogg, every time Road Dogg has a bad thing happen to him, I mean, he had the heart problems recently. We all, get the pangs for him. Then he goes and puts his foot in his mouth. So I don't know what my dog has a problem with Road Dogg for, but I do know that Road Dogg seems to have a position in WWE still. So as long as you remember, Road Dogg's in with the clique, yo. So he's not he has to really step in it and track it through the house to get himself in trouble, right? And John apologizing about Taiwan being a country is very much John PR WWE spin. Let's just make it all go away. It never happened, and that's really what that comes down to.
I'd like to see it. We finally got heel John Cena. Communist China sympathizer.
Well, it's if you watch the Firefly Funhouse match, we got heel John Cena, and then if you watched the thing with Elias, he made the heel turn, did the doctor promo. So, but yeah, just I think there was much more made of that than needed to be because it's John Cena and because there's so much political turmoil in the world when it comes to recognition of cultures, statuses, whatever. So if it happens even 2 years ago, people are like meh, but because we're in such a powder keg of a situation humanity wise, like, oh, what a faux pas. It's like, guys, relax, it's okay.
Now regarding Buff, like I wish DDP would help him out. I mean, I'm not saying Buff, he has his moments where he could probably improve that life. WWE, I know he really didn't work there. I mean, he did very short term.
Right.
I wish they could help wrestlers out more, barring that the wrestlers would be willing to take the help. But it's been a rough life, rough business. Buff had that serious neck injury. I mean, I just don't want to see downfalls like this. I want to see recoveries, recoups. The Jake Roberts point turned out to be okay. We all thought he wasn't going to make it. How many times? You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't like seeing that type of news.
Me neither.
Virtue, you have to remember, both Scott and Jake were beyond the point of no return. Like Dallas, almost had to step in, and they were both willing to accept the help. I don't think Mark's at the place that he needs the help. Number one, and number two, I don't think that he feels he's at the place where he would have to accept the help. So granted, you mentioned the neck injury
earlier the better sometimes, though, right?
Oh, definitely. And he had the even worse car accident in, I think it was 2012. He had that really bad wreck because I saw him out here not too long after that. He was moving very unsteadily, and that's the first time I'd seen him in person. I mean, he and I have been, telephone friends since the interview back in 2003, Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, he and I have been friends longer than Rob and I have been friends. So it's Buffs. And again, Betsy agrees that, Mark's a very, controversial figure. But as long as I'm told via text, I feel good, I'm okay. And he says in the statement, I'll let everybody know what really happened in that whatever he's going to do that appearance. Then I'm like, okay, I'll wait and see what he says.
Fair enough. Okay, Aaron, over to you. I saw a couple super chats come in.
Yeah, we do have a €2 super chat from Adrian. He says Road Dogg versus Jeff's dog bone on a pole match.
Well,
bone on a pole match.
Jeff's dog bone on a pole match is what he's trying to say. And my dog will kick Road Dogg's ass any day of the week, twice on Sunday. So bring it on, Brian.
And Dwayne Atkinson sent in a $3 super chat. He says, can somebody fill me in on what Road Dogg done?
So basically there was an interview, I think, with Demi Lovato. And again, Demi Lovato being in the media, take that with a grain of salt these days. Depends on when you catch her. She mentioned something about the trans community.
This is why we shouldn't be talking about this. You're going to get us in trouble, Jeff.
Sensitivity.
Okay. He asked the question. If you didn't want it to be addressed, why'd you put it
But you did not use the proper pronoun.
Oh, Lord.
I'm serious. You're going to get us in trouble. If you don't, you got it. Now you got to apologize.
What did I say? What did I say that was wrong?
You said she. Demi Lovato is non-binary now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
This is why
that's the term I remember reading. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah, and
so Demi Lovato did an interview where Demi Lovato mentioned the trans community as a whole, and Brian James, Road Dogg, whatever, responded in a way that was non-PC, and of course the PC community dropped down on him like the proverbial net trap over the bear. So it's, again, I saw the word snowflake a lot in the chat room, and I'm not really trying to stir up any more hornets than I apparently did by not using the play on there. But people are very, very sensitive over every damn thing nowadays, and I just feel it was much like John's thing, blown out,
especially wrestling fans.
Oh yeah,
exactly. So, all right, Aaron, we'll come back to you on your thoughts on these topics. Noah, you don't have to talk about Road Dogg, but obviously, Cena, buff if you want.
I mean, it's hard to see somebody you once appreciated for what they brought send themselves in a downward spiral. Time can be hard on anybody, but a wrestler not being able to do what they're known to do their entire life and kind of have not been able to get back into it, it kind of makes them fall into madness, it seems. And unfortunately, Buff Bagwell has been a multiple offender of this with multiple crashes and charges against him. As far as his piece, I'm just going to leave that to the judicial system and to whoever he wishes to share that with. I just hope, you see this with all sorts of wrestlers who got arrested or done something stupid. Sonny, for example, on multiple occasions, etc. Get your life together. That's the best thing I could actually ask for. I hope you get your life together. As far as the John Cena thing, he apologized for it, but people and the internet are going to make it a big deal because there's a sense of pride and nationality being involved here. And when you bring politics into any conversation, you're opening a 1,000K firework on the front of your doorstop. The way I see it is this: he apologized for it, and it should not be held against him. Everybody says something stupid. Everybody tweets something stupid. But I understand the society we live in. We live in a world that is controlled by social media, and the one thing you say that triggers somebody's nerve in a sense of this era of sensitivity, it's going to cause something, whether it's positive reprieve or negative reprieve. That's what gets people talking. It's just another thing people are going to talk about for ages to come. And these are international things, of course, with the whole China and Taiwan thing about, sovereignty, territory, nationalism. And that's a whole different world. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that's the way they feel. That's on them. But the rest of the world should have no right to judge that, let alone freaking dictate how it's handled and how you look at John Cena going forward. Bottom line is this: we live in an international, worldwide, sensitive society, and we all need to freaking grow up.
And like Michael Wayne said, I'd love to see John Cena come back. Obviously, if he does come back for that SmackDown in front of a live crowd, and I'd love to see him do a program for like SummerSlam, depending on his Hollywood schedule. And right now, when the spotlight is on you, whether good or bad, WWE capitalized on it. So thank you for that, Noah. That was excellent work, by the way.
Yeah.
Aaron, over to you now. Follow that.
All right. So first of all, regarding Demi Lovato, what happened was there was a radio host that made some jokes about Demi Lovato and said he was going to quit his show. And that was an article that Road Dogg commented on. And Road Dogg, this is his exact quote, said, "Good for him. We have to be bold and stand up against this secularism." That's what Road Dogg said. And anybody that knows Road Dogg on social media knows that he's very conservative and he speaks his mind. And it is what it is. I'm not surprised that Road Dogg made those comments. He did, and he'll probably continue to make comments that people don't like. That's just Road Dogg. Mo Camera with a $2.79 super chat says, "Just stopping by to say Cena is trash. Hi, TJS."
Interesting opinion. Okay.
Thanks for the donation.
Yeah. We appreciate the Canadian dollar donation. Thank you very much.
Oh, geez. Don't have to be mean to Canada, Jeff. Jeez, what is up with you, Jeff? You're like not using proper pronouns. You're making fun of Canada.
There's a button down there somewhere. You can take me off camera anytime you want, brother.
Oh, good point.
All
right, so let's move on here.
What a boy.
I said my piece about Road Dogg, and as far as John Cena goes, Jeff said it well. It was John Cena trying to calm the tensions. John Cena made a comment about Taiwan being a country. China was not happy, so Cena had to apologize. Damage control. China is a major international market for Hollywood films. Fast and Furious 9, big business in Canada. John Cena did not want to burn that
And in
bridge.
China, what are you talking about?
What was that?
You said Canada, not China, but that's okay.
Well, see, you got me thinking Canada now, Jeff.
Ha! I'm in your head.
You're in my head, rent free right now, as
Right,
the
baby.
cool kids
Always.
like to say. Yeah, China, big business. Canada, not so much. So you could insult Canada and probably not have to apologize. But
Well,
if you
I'll have to
don't-
apologize for Canada myself personally on personal levels, but anyway.
Exactly. So yeah, that's
Good boy.
what it is. And what was the third controversy?
Well,
Virtue?
Buff. I mean,
Bagwell.
just Buff Bagwell.
I just feel bad for him. I hope he's going to be okay, and whatever issues he has going on, he gets through it. Buff, he's been really good to us over the years. He's done numerous interviews for the site, and very entertaining guy in WCW. I just hope whatever's going on, he's able to overcome it. And that's really all I have to say about Buff. I wish him well. And I think beyond what's already out there, what's public knowledge, we should just let him do what he's got to do. And he'll say what he wants to say. Whatever he wants out there, he'll put out there. And beyond that, I think we just got to let it be and just hope for the best for him. So
Like the Beatles sang it, let it be.
And John Lennon.
exactly.
That's
There
true.
you go.
All right, so this is great news. We are not even in an hour yet, and I am ready to go around the horn here. We're gonna look. The NoDQ Galaxy is really giving back to me this week for what I had to endure last week. This is awesome. So this has been a great show. We had 4 major topics. The Tom Phillips thing I threw in, so I didn't even add a 5th topic because I just was hoping we could do a nice solid hour show tonight. So we know the routine. Noah, I'm going to start with you. Do your plugs. Take your time. Get anything you need to say out there, and we'll see what happens when it comes back to Aaron at the end. So, with that said, thank you for being on, Noah. Excellent job this evening.
We already got one. We already got one from Big Baller G here.
Well,
He knows
of course
better.
he would.
He says, everybody has a price for Big Baller G. Ha 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 ha.
Nice
Wow.
laugh.
Follow that up, Noah.
Well, I'm not going to do the $1 million laugh because I don't want to blow everybody's eardrums out, but this has been fun, gentlemen, and I look forward to doing this again. People, you want to know more about me, know this. I'm not a commentator. I'm just a simple man and a lifelong fan of wrestling. So follow me on Twitter at mfoster1916 or follow me on Instagram for some positive reprieve in your day at mfoster1916. Follow my simple YouTube channel also, youtube.com/c/Milfoster10 for all things wrestling. And shout out to my ATW family on Twitter. We'll be back this weekend on my YouTube channel, the ATW Crew, talking about Double or Nothing and who knows what else too. We might even do another open mic night. And also NoDQ Galaxy, remember, your opinions matter. Come join the AEW Predictions League I'm hosting. We're continuing from Revolution into Double or Nothing. The forum is live on my Twitter as well. As always, I like to close. Fans, wrestling, non-wrestling, people around the world, there are no winners, there are no losers, there are no bears. There are just fans and people in general with opinions for this passion we all share. At the end of the day, let's support one another and respect each other and just enjoy life and enjoy wrestling. Simple as that. I'll see y'all around.
Thank you for being so positive, Noah. Positively, Noah.
We
All
love
right,
it,
Jeff.
Noah. Well, wait. Before we get to Jeff, because he goes on for like 3 minutes, Psycho Jet Black did send in a $2 super chat. Well, Jeff has a huge list of plugs. So before we get to Jeff, Psycho Jet Black says your favorite Edge matches and moments. My favorite Edge match, probably the TLC matches.
It's kind of
Cena.
hard to top those, especially the one that pretty much ascended TLC into a pay-per-view, which it's kind of weird to me that you have TLC and Extreme Rules in the same year, but that could be a topic for another day. As far as favorite Ed matches goes, I love the one against John Cena back at Unforgiven 2006. That was awesome too.
And best moments, cashing in Money in the Bank on John Cena, the live sex celebration.
Oh, God.
The stuff with Vicky Guerrero was great.
I thought Edge had a very underrated match against Chris Jericho at a WrestleMania.
2010. Yep.
Yep, 2010.
Yep.
All right, Jeff, I got your graphic ready. Go ahead with it,
Cool
brother.
deal. So JeffMeachMeNetwork.com will take you to my links. It'll be up on YouTube. Monday, of course, Talk Wrestling's back. This weekend, however, we're doing the live watch along of Double or Nothing at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. 7:30 will be the pregame show or the pre-show, whatever you want to call it. That'll be on all the platforms. I'm going to try to get Instagram going. We'll see how that plays out. But as you can see there in the bottom corner, we've got 4 Sundays straight of watch-alongs. Double or Nothing, When Our Shadows Fall for NWA, which Noah will be joining me for that one, as well as NXT TakeOver in Your House, and then followed by, what do you call it?
Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell. Thank you. I can't see that graphic. And then there's wrestling episodes coming up, and not wrestling. And, of course, as I said, Talk Wrestling is back Monday with Ask Meach Anything. Very simple. JeffMeachMNetwork.com.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. All right. I think we're going to get out of here soon, Aaron. Go ahead.
All right. Well, yeah, this one is from Adrian. He sent in a €3 super chat, and this is more of a joke question. So, yeah, we should be done here in a second. But I'll ask Noah because I'm not sure if Noah knows. Well, he probably does. Adrian says, what color was the submarine in the Beatles song?
Is that a trick question? Because the only song I know is Yellow Submarine.
There you go. Now, should we all sing it together? That's
No. This is a karaoke. You get a super chat of $100, and maybe you will do that. No.
What
No
about
free singing.
What about the Eagles' Take It to the Limit?
No, I'll cry if you do that. So please let's just move on. Come on.
Move forward.
Done. We're done. Under an hour tonight.
With no Big G on here, nobody's doing those last second questions for Big G. Big G, you're the draw, man. You took a hiatus. You're costing the NoDQ
We
review.
miss you, brother.
Take care, Big G.
Well, you can follow me if you dare on Twitter at NoDQ_virtue. I believe Aaron has my NoDQ.com/virtue linked to my Facebook. So if you want to see a bunch of mushy relationship stuff, a side of virtue you never thought you would see, go over to NoDQ.com/virtue. It is public, but if I see trolls over there, you'll get axed pretty quickly. But this has just been another great edition of the NoDQ review. Thank you, NoDQ Galaxy, for giving back to me and cutting this one under an hour. And you know what? We will be back. It's been kind of a slow last 2 weeks other than the breaking news on Thursday, but we just haven't really had too much substance going into pay-per-view type shows where Aaron's had to do predictions. So thank you for watching and listening. For Aaron Rift, for Noah Foster, for Jeff Meacham, I am Virtue, signing out after 56 minutes or so. Thank you, NoDQ Galaxy. We'll see you next time.